So what do we talk about, Nas?
Well, we're going to talk about just my experience as an international student in
Yeah,
the United States,
yeah.
how I got here, and what I have gone through, how I've been treated,
Hmm.
the way the professional work, how to make it in the professional world, any obstacles, any setbacks that I've
Yeah,
experienced
yeah,
here in terms of in university or in the professional world,
yeah.
and my ambitions on what I feel like I want to get out of being in the United States,
Hmm.
and also how all of my experiences have inspired me to start my Instagram account called Fresh Off the Plane.
That's right. We also talk about a little bit about, international's background and how we can stay here in the US by getting H1B, but we have to go through the lottery and you got denied, and how you transition to getting another degree at USC.
Right.
Welcome to Chai with Ping. This is Ping Robert, and in this podcast, we will cover a range of different topics from culture, languages, and underrepresented stories. Join me with a cup of chai and listen to these stories.
Welcome back to Chai with Ping. Today we have a very special guest. Currently, we have been talking about international students, and before this all happened, ICE actually like kind of put a hold on international status for being in the US. So today I have this cool person who is an Instagram account creator for Fresh Off the Plane. So Fresh as Phresh off the plane. So he focuses on more of the international student voices and stories. And so go ahead and check him out. He has really great stuff on there. So let's welcome Ness.
Hi, thanks
Hi,
for
Nat.
having me.
Thank you
Happy
for
to
coming
be
to the
here.
show.
Of
And
course, of course.
it was such a short notice. I don't know how your Instagram post just came to the suggestion of my page, and then I kind of yeah, we kind of connected, and thank
Mhm.
you so much for coming to the show.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you found my Instagram page because it's pretty new. I only started it a few weeks ago, but I'm
Yeah,
glad it reached you, and I'm
yeah.
happy to talk about it more today.
Definitely. We will definitely talk about your Instagram and like the whole page like intention um later, but I want to start with a little your background. Like how did you come to the US, and like what's your background story?
Sure. So, my name is Nas, like you said already. I was born and raised in Bangkok, Thailand. Lived there for 18 years, went to international school in Bangkok. So I grew up speaking English, being surrounded by people from all over the world. And I pretty much started going to international school since kindergarten. Um, and then when I turned 18, I moved to San Diego to pursue a bachelor's degree at UCSD, so that's University of California, San Diego. And what I my degree was in economics, and when I graduated, I got a job at Amgen, which is a biotechnology company in Thousand Oaks, Los Angeles. Um, there I was a marketing associate, and I was actually still on a student visa when I was working. And I don't know if people are familiar with the H1B visa, where you pretty much it's a work visa that you need to be able to be employed in the United States long term. So I was actually getting sponsorship to have a chance of receiving that visa, and I actually got selected in the H1B lottery. However, there was just some complications that we could probably get into later if you want to learn more about it. But just in short, my H1B visa got denied. So I had to leave my job at Amgen, but I found a way to extend my student visa by um, pursuing further education, and which takes me to the present day. I am about to start a master's degree at USC. Um, and then my journey as an international student is still ongoing, still trying to find a way to stay here long term, but things are looking up right now.
Well, so I think a lot of people are not aware how the international students are hired in the US. So you're saying that you have an H1B visa, which is sponsored by your company. How long would that be usually?
So usually to work here long term, the most common visa is the H1B visa, which
Hmm.
will allow you to work at your sponsoring employer for 6 years.
Oh, okay.
Um,
In one
six
go.
years, yes,
Okay.
and it's up to the employer if they want to continue to just if they want to provide you with an employer-sponsored green card, you
Yeah.
can stay here for much longer.
Yeah.
I personally, so the process of getting an H1B visa is very difficult. I didn't have an H1B visa.
Hmm.
I was still on a student visa when I started working here.
Oh.
And there are benefits to the student visa. When you graduate,
Hmm.
most students have 1 or 3 years to, I guess, work on a
Hmm.
student visa while
Yeah.
you pursue an H1B visa. And the what determines if you get 1 year or 3 years is
Hmm.
your major. So if
Yeah.
you're majoring in a STEM major, you will get 3 years. If it's a non-STEM major, you'll get only 1 year. But every time, so in order to get an H1B visa, first you have to be entered in a lottery, which is a completely random selection. Um, and as you can probably tell, the STEM majors that have 3 years, they have three chances at the lottery. So that's a much higher chance of you getting selected. And then when you do get selected, if you do get selected, that's not it's not over yet. You still need to hand in your paperwork and get approved. And it's been a lot more strict recently with the new administration. They've been the denial rates for H1B visas, even if you get selected, is higher than it has ever been. So personally, I was lucky enough to get selected on my first try in the lottery, but it was ultimately denied because of other complications.
So, like, when you were working under the student visa, was it counted as OPT, optional practicum
Yeah,
training?
yes.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been working there?
So I worked there for 1 year.
Okay.
1 year. Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Mm,
was a non-STEM major, so I only
yeah.
had 1 year.
Yeah.
Even though, so I majored in economics, now it is considered a STEM major, but when I
Yeah.
wasn't so lucky. Yeah.
And do you know what exactly happened that you kind of get denied or complication? What exactly is going on?
Yeah. So I was selected in the lottery, which I was kind of surprised about because I wasn't a master's degree holder, but I was extremely happy to get selected. I guess what my best guess of why it got denied is multiple reasons. The first one is that the one criteria to be approved for an H1B lottery is your job has to be considered a specialty occupation in the same field of the degree that you hold. So in my case, my position had to be related to economics, and it had to be a position that is considered a specialty occupation. Not any American could come in and do this job. It has to be very specialized. And the criteria for the term specialized is still very vague. There's it's really really subjective. So my guess is they saw that my position was an entry level position, straight out of undergrad. My position was in was a marketing role. They didn't see a direct correlation between marketing and economics, and they didn't think a role straight out of undergrad was something that could only strictly be done by an economics degree holder. So that's one reason. The second reason is the lawyers that handled my case may have had some, I guess there were some filing issues, filing delays. I'm not too sure what happened on that end. They didn't disclose it to me, but that may have played a part in it too. But I think those were the two main factors of why my visa got denied.
Can you clarify a little bit? Like, does every international student will hire an attorney or lawyer to handle that kind of things?
So usually your employer will handle that for you. They have immigration lawyers that will just handle the case. Um, I guess in some instances you may have to seek your own immigration attorneys or file the cases yourself. But in my case, I had everything handled for me. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, okay. And so, just as a non-international student perspective, like people might just ask, why do you want to stay here? Why don't you go back home? Or,
Hmm.
so I also heard a lot of narratives about, people, foreign people or international students coming here and stealing jobs from them and all that.
Hmm.
What is your ideas around this topic?
Sure. So to answer your first question, why I personally came here and want to stay here, is that I really like the environment that I'm in here. It's a sharp contrast to what I experienced in Bangkok. I love being in Bangkok. That's my hometown, obviously. But for one, the working culture in Bangkok is so much different to what it is here. I interned in Bangkok and I found that um, the, I guess for an early career professional, the growth that you experience in your first few roles is a lot slower than I experienced here. The higher level managers don't really trust younger workers. They really handle everything themselves there. The work hours are much longer. The commute is much longer. The pay is much lower. And I guess it's just overall, it just seems more of like a typical 9 to 5 or even longer, like stressful, long commute type of work life, as opposed to here where things are a lot more modernized in terms of work culture. A lot of things are being done online. Offices are a lot more open. There's a lot more perks. You can stay in the office and get free food. You can play pool with your friends. There's free gym and all of that.
Sounds like a good
Obviously,
job.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Back in where I was working, there was a gym, there was a soccer field. It was like a whole college campus to itself.
yeah.
Um, of course, the pay is higher here, and your managers really facilitate your growth. They have full on programs built for nurturing young talent. And that's what I really appreciated about here. And I feel like personally, I could grow so much faster, quicker as a professional and as a person being here. Also, separating myself from that bubble that I grew up in for 18 years, um, it, it was really conducive to my own personal growth, my own mental health. And I would also say that especially in Southeast Asian countries, in Thai culture, there's a lot of societal pressure, societal norms that people feel that they need to stick to fulfill these, I guess, these ideas of what our older generations think that we should follow or accomplish. But over here, you're a lot more free to just go with what you are passionate about, what you feel is right for yourself. And I feel like I needed to get away from that bubble to be able to just learn more about myself and just make sure I reach my highest potential. And I feel like
Mm,
America offers that.
yeah. It's almost like stretching your optimal skills and also potential. It feels
Exactly.
like, yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
back home the options are a little bit more limited. I'm pretty
Right.
sure that, yeah, we can still go back home and, still
Yeah.
find a good job, but I felt like the opportunities are a lot more here, given the diversity of the population and all that.
Exactly. And to look at it from another perspective,
Hmm.
not just like personal ambitions and
Yeah,
goals,
yeah.
but so I've been here for almost 6 years. And throughout those 6 years, you establish establish close relationships. You start to purchase things, you have more assets that you own here, and you just kind of get settled here. So it's difficult to just pack up and leave a place that you call a second home. Um, that's just another way of looking at why international students are pretty reluctant to leave somewhere that they've already started building a career, building a personal life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, even the social circles and like community, because
Hmm.
yeah, you basically spend all your college life in
Hmm.
California, so you kind of also explore the options over there and make friends and all that.
Exactly. And for a lot of people in a lot of cultures, when you start your journey, if you go overseas to somewhere like America to start your personal growth journey, your career journey, and somehow you end up back in your home country, oftentimes you're viewed as a failure, um, by a lot of people. And I know a lot of people don't want to go through that, don't want to be judged. Although it's terrible that things are that way. It's just the way it is. So some people may have that mindset as well.
Do you have the fear that if you go back and people will see you that way?
Personally, I used to think that way, to be honest with you. I felt like if I didn't find success here, I would consider myself a failure,
Mm,
let alone other people would look at me somewhat as a failure too. But I don't know, as you grow up, as you mature, you kind of realize it doesn't really matter what other people think, what societal norms and pressures are like, which I guess is another reason I want to continue to stay here to escape that. But yeah, for some people, it's just something that they deal with in their societies, and that's completely normal. So I wouldn't judge someone for feeling that way.
wow. Yeah, that's definitely a complicated feeling and emotion over
Hmm.
there. It's like how you perceive if you stay here or going back and all that
Hmm.
societal pressure and all that.
Hmm.
What would you say for those people who don't like immigrants coming to the US?
Yeah, yeah,
Why
that's
why did you laugh?
yeah, it's a very sensitive topic, and
Mm,
a lot of people are showing that attitude as of late because of the current administration and how they view immigrants. It's making people more comfortable voicing their dislike towards immigrants. Of course, I am biased, but my opinion is it's that mindset is completely unwarranted, and I don't think they understand the impacts that immigrants have on this country. For example, international students, they contribute to so much of the US economy. Um, Immigrants create new jobs for America. We bring in diverse perspectives, new cultures, new ideas. Um, there's the, I guess there's the attitude that, oh, immigrants steal our jobs. I feel like if you look at the data, um, it would prove opposite. We actually create jobs rather than steal jobs. Um, and I don't know, it's just a very backwards, outdated outlook on immigrants, in my opinion.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Mm.
that's my my opinion on
Quick
that.
question. Did you have sponsorship or scholarship when you are doing a college?
I did not.
So,
I did not
so,
have.
so we're totally investing in the U.S. economy, huh?
Exactly, and we
Yeah.
pay higher tuition. We
Oh,
don't
definitely.
qualify for most loans. We don't even
Mm,
qualify for most scholarships.
yeah,
So we're literally paying out of pocket to contribute to this economy, and
yeah.
sometimes it feels like people don't value that, and they they might look at us as just free money,
Yeah.
just like cash cows, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I've been doing a lot of research on international students because that's my topic for dissertation. I'm still in
Mhm.
the data collection or like pre-research era. But yeah, definitely. the financial side is a huge benefit for a lot of colleges, especially right now. A lot of American kids are getting less and less. Like people are not producing that many babies anymore, so
Right.
they kind of fill the gap by
Yeah.
international students, and
Hmm.
especially kind of relieve some pressure for colleges and universities.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to go deeper a little for your experience being an international student on campus or even
Hmm.
at work.
Hmm.
Have you ever faced any microaggression or kind of mild discrimination?
Yeah. Well, I personally have been very lucky that none of those microaggressions, or I guess um, ignorant comments, have been very intentionally malicious. People have treated me with respect here, although sometimes they would make comments that may be a little bit offensive, but not ill-intentioned. So a lot of the times I give them a pass and try to educate them rather than, um, I guess, bring them down.
Yeah.
But some examples, a lot of people didn't understand how I was so well versed on American pop culture, and they just assumed that I wouldn't understand anything that they were talking about. For example, someone was like, "There's no way you know who Beyonce is," and
What?
wouldn't take it seriously when I told them I was a huge hip hop head. I knew a
Yeah.
lot of I loved Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They just didn't really take that seriously. It was like, oh, how big of a fan are you really? You didn't grow up here. Um, that's just one example. Uh,
Oh, they have no
yeah,
idea they're international celebrities and pop like stars.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay. Hmm.
yeah, that's very minor though. A lot of people experience much worse. I know someone who was held back in class by their professor because their essay that they turned in was super well written, and the teacher didn't understand the concept of international students. She had an idea that all internationals are grouped in the same, like, rich, only are here because of their parents' money, not because of their skills, um, and that their English cannot be as good as that student's paper was. So she automatically failed the student because she assumed that he had cheated or just got someone else to write it for him.
Wait, that happened to your
Yeah,
friends?
that happened to someone that I know. He actually submitted his story to my Instagram account. And I asked him more about it, and that's exactly what happened. In the end, though, he got hit the justice he deserved. He explained his case, got an A on the paper, but still, that demoralized him. You know, there's like all that hard work, and you are accused of
Absolutely.
cheating
Yep.
because
Yep.
of racism, pretty
Mm.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people who've had it much worse than I have. I will say I have been blessed to have been treated the way that I have, um, but others aren't haven't been so lucky.
I feel like Colorado is a very different state from California. A lot of
Mhm.
international students are facing less challenges in California because of the diversity of in the population. But still,
Mhm.
it surprises me to like hear stories like that because it's
Mhm.
like a lot of international students came prepared.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just like people will come up to me and say like, "Oh, you speak very good English." I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that, so I will say like, so do you. It's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
we can learn English outside of the US, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I get
Wow.
that question all the time.
Mm,
How do you speak such good English? And
yeah.
I have to explain that
Yeah.
give the whole spiel about going to international school.
Yeah. Yeah. So even I asked you that question because I kind of just I can observe in that way. It's just like, there must be some other factors
Right.
that someone can learn English that well. But like, sorry if I offended you.
Oh no, 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 no. That's
But I just
definitely
felt
not.
like
It's a
maybe
fair
we have the
question.
same background, that kind of thing.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you another question. How has the whole process, right? You just talk about your journey being here and your H1B got denied. How has that inspired you to start this Instagram page, Fresh Off the Plane?
That's a great question. So I remember when my visa got denied, I was so confident that it would get approved because I had already gotten selected in the lottery. I thought that was the hardest part. When it got denied, it came as such a surprise. I was really down in the dumps. I was super overwhelmed, demoralized. I didn't know where my future lied. I didn't know what I was going to do next. Like, I had a job that I really loved, that I was doing really well at, and my career trajectory was looking really good. I have friends here. I have a girlfriend that I am very serious about. I didn't know if I moved back to Thailand, if long distance would work with the time zones and everything. I had 2 years left on my car lease, which would be difficult to break. I had just signed a new lease for my apartment. There's just so much going on. And I only had 30 days to figure all of that out before I had to leave the country. So I was overwhelmed. I had no idea what I was going to do next. I just felt defeated. And I could have used, at that point, I could have used someone or a community that really understood what I was going through. I could have used some stories of people making it through this difficult period. I could have used someone to guide me on the next steps and I guess how they could recover from this mentally, and also just if there is any way of just continuing that journey in the US. You worked for something for so long, and that being taken from you just like that, from something that's completely out of your control, that just seemed super unfair. And I could have used someone to just tell me what next, or just give me some comfort. But not a lot of people understand this situation because it's so complicated and it's such few people that have to go through this relative to the people in this country. And also, as you said, all those negative attitudes towards international students or immigrants in this country, which is why I started my Instagram account, Fresh Off the Plane, to build a community that supports each other, guides each other, provides each other with hope and, I guess, advice on how to recover from these situations, or just to recover from any type of setback that international students or immigrants have to go through in this country. Obviously, I found a way to get back on track, to stay here legally, to get into a master's degree that will bring me back into the workforce after I graduate. And I think a lot of people who have recovered from situations like that will have a lot of wise advice to spread, and a lot of hope to spread into the community. And that's the idea of that's the direction I want FOP to go. I want to empower international students to continue to believe that they are here for a good reason, that they have a good chance to succeed, and that they have a supportive community behind them when things don't go as planned. And yeah, that's why I started FOP.
Why do you spell it Phresh as fresh?
Okay, that's also a very good question. So my idea was the term fresh off the boat is something that is commonly known. A lot of international students on campus are referred to as FOBs, fresh with an F and off the boat. But that term is usually tied to, it has negative connotations. It's oftentimes used derogatively, fresh off the boat. you're referred to as like an immigrant that came to this country and stealing jobs and all that, But it's it's what is tied to our identity. We can't escape from it. So instead of trying to escape from it, I wanted to rebrand it. What is the modern version of people, of immigrants, of international students who are in the USA currently? We didn't just jump off a boat to immigrate here anymore. A lot of us are, our parents were, had us here. We were born here. Some people were born here. Some people came here after being, we're not first generation college students anymore. We got off here not off a boat. We got here from a plane. And Phresh, the way I spelt it, PH, is a more modern, more cool spin on the usual FRESH, just to brand our identity as something that you should be more proud of. That's something more modern. That's something that has more positive connotations. And for us just to own that word, the fob, we'll own it, and we'll call ourselves something slightly different, but people will still know who we are and will be proud to say that we are international students or immigrants in this country.
So if the listeners are interested, you can go ahead and search on Instagram, fresh off the plane. I was so indulged with the story. Fresh off the plane. And then the F will be changed to PH. So you can find it in the episode notes as well. I will definitely tag it there. So what are the stories that has inspired you so far?
What are the stories? So yes, so a lot of people have been submitting their stories. I told you one about the guy that got held back in class
Yes.
because of racism.
Yep.
But I know, I'm just thinking of one. Someone told me that because she was an international student, she couldn't compete in a lot of national sports competitions because simply they weren't American and they weren't eligible. That was pretty mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Someone told me that a lot of medical schools don't admit international students. They straight up just filter out international candidates because you're not, I guess they don't believe that you will in the future practice medicine in this country. So if you're going to practice medicine in your home country, they didn't want to train you to practice medicine. They felt like that spot would be better used for American students, I had no idea about. That's some structural racism in the professional world that no one is really talking about.
Absolutely.
That's why I had no idea about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a lot of stories about people going through just racism or just setbacks, which not a lot of people have been talking about, and I wanted to shine light on with my account.
So if you were one of the fans and then you want to submit your post to this page, what would you quote or share, like maybe a summary of your story to be on that post?
From my personal experience,
Yeah.
I would definitely tell a story about the moment I found out my visa got denied and how I felt everything was going downhill and how I really didn't see a way out of it, but somehow managed to recover in a short period of time. And I would give other people some guidance of the ways I was able to recover. I was able to stay in this country, but not only just stay, but preserve that trajectory I was on. And I would focus less on, I guess, my frustration towards the situation, but try to provide hope that even though if you encounter such a huge setback, that doesn't mean your journey in the United States is over. You just need to sit down, work a little harder, stay composed, and you'll find a way to achieve your goals in the end.
Yeah.
That would be my spiel.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
We're gonna jump to another question because
Sure.
during this time, coronavirus, the ICE
Mhm.
policy, and the systemic racism has been a huge movement around the country. How has all these impacted your current situation? And because you just said that you got admitted to USC,
Mhm.
yeah, and how's that? How has that been?
So when I found out about ICE's intention to bar, or I guess send international students home if their programs were to be completely online, um, I was I was in shock, like with everything that's going on in society right now with Lives Matter and coronavirus. I felt like this was the last thing that they should have been focusing on. There's so many things that they that they could do with their time, you know. I was shocked. I thought it was unfair. I thought it was like it was telling international students that it was treating international students as lab rats pretty much. If you aren't going to go into in-person classes, you have to go home. Um, they're testing, I guess, the learning environment, in-person learning environment on us. And if we were to get, let's say we were to get coronavirus, they would just use that's just experiment results for them. I thought that was
Mm,
pretty inhumane.
yeah.
Personally, USC was very transparent about their um, intention to support international students throughout it.
Hmm.
At first, they offered to create a hybrid program where half of our classes would be online and half would be in person. But ultimately, they weren't able to organize that. It was just too difficult to coordinate. So they still provided us reassurance that there would be at least one in-person class that we would only have to take once a week or something, just to keep us in legal status. I was lucky that USC were so on top of it and so transparent. So props to them. A lot of other students weren't so lucky. Some schools aren't able to accommodate that. So people were panicking. They were in the middle of their degrees. What would happen if they went home and they could never finish their degrees? So yeah, personally, I wasn't too panicked thanks to USC's transparency. A lot of people I know were very, very worried. Gladly, the decision got overturned, um, but it's still a warning sign. It just still indicates to us where we are in America with attitudes towards international students and immigrants. They still feel like we don't deserve to be here, to be honest. So um, it's a warning sign, and I feel like this won't be the last time a policy like this gets introduced. Um, but I hope I'm proven wrong. I really do.
I wonder if there's anything has to do with the election coming. And it's like the people here have been polarized, and either you love someone or you hate someone. So that was a
Yeah,
very interesting decision. And then they kind
right.
of put a backward policy again after,
Yeah.
a lot of people petitioned, and I think Harvard and MIT also kind of pursue legal routes and all that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, still in my university, they're like you need to take at least one hybrid courses. However,
Hmm.
given the situation right now, a lot of states are suffering from the COVID cases rising. So how
Right.
is that safe for everyone to go back to campus? Or, that's really a huge task for the colleges to kind of handle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What are you
I
gonna
was
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, I was talking to someone, and he had a very interesting theory. It may be a little bit an unpopular theory, but he feels like the whole ICE debacle was a sort of a distraction. He feels like they knew going in that that policy would never be approved, but they decided to go through with it to distract from all the things going around in the world right now and use international students as that target. And it worked. And then once the ruling got overturned, people saw it as a win for international students. Like, oh, they got what they wanted. Now we don't have to really care about them anymore, you know. But in the end, it wasn't really a win. It was just more of like nothing too bad happened to us. And still, a lot of students that aren't in the US right now can't come here to pursue a new degree. So it isn't really a win. It's still a loss for a lot of students. So the perception right now that, oh, international students are good for the time being is false. And there, as I said, I feel like in the future, there will be more policies that are harmful towards international students. There was an article written by Forbes earlier where the administration is considering banning all Chinese international students and strictly just Chinese international students, which is completely blasphemous and racism at its finest.
Yeah.
But we'll see where that goes. It's far from over.
Here in Colorado, some of the Confucius Institute, which are kind of under the government of China, has already been banned or like determinated. So I really don't know because the trade war between the U.S. and China, I guess, you know, a lot more things will be happening on the news that we will know.
Yeah.
And especially the election coming on, a lot of different things. I don't know. I don't understand enough to make assumptions and all that. But it's just I feel a lot of things are built on a hidden agenda.
Right.
And that's probably also a way to gain power for
Yes.
the U.S. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. But the thing is, a lot of these unfair policies towards international students and immigrants have existed before this current administration. It's just getting worse under this administration. So it's not just an administration issue for the current time. It has existed for a long time. So it will take a while to even, I don't know, get better, become more fair. But you're right, though, with the elections coming up, there are agendas and international students are being the targets. We're getting the worst of it. So I hope it doesn't continue.
Yeah, and especially we don't have any rights to vote, right? So I felt like we're almost like puppets, and we just need to listen and obey in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we can end on a better positive note. What are your hopes and dreams and plans for this year or even coming year?
Yeah. So I'm about to start my master's program, and the program will be a 1-year program. And once I graduate, I'll have 3 more years of work authorization to try to get an H1B visa again. And I feel really optimistic about that process this time. 1, because obviously the percentage of me obtaining it with a master's degree and 3 rounds of the H1B lottery is much higher. But I'm also going into this process with more knowledge of how things will go. I can prepare for the worst this time. And honestly, I feel good about my chances. If I do obtain an H1B visa, I want to continue growing my career here. I feel like it was on a great trajectory. I had American managers who were really supportive and understanding about my situation, very empathetic, which gives me hope that we as a country can become more empathetic towards the international student community. We can learn more about the situations, and I guess Americans can be allies and just support them as best as they can. So I am optimistic about the direction this country can go in. I see the potential for sure, but I feel like there needs to be more stories like the ones that people have been sharing on FOP, to kind of push everyone into that direction. But if I am personally, if I am able to find a way to be here for the long term, I want to make the most out of my time here. I want to grow into the person I always wanted to be. I wanted to find success in my career and my relationships, and just try to make a positive contribution to this country and also to my home country. And I feel like I'll find a way to do that if I am given the opportunity to continue growing myself.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, listeners, if you're international students, please share your stories with Nas. And if you're not international students but you care about, also follow follow us like Chai with Ping and also Nas's platform, Fresh Off the Plan. And anything before we end you want to say?
Oh yeah, I mean, if thank you for promoting my Instagram page. It's definitely more than just stories. It started off as being stories, but we're trying to empower our community. We're trying to create a group, a community where we can laugh, we can cry, we can be proud of our status. So there's memes shared, there are educational graphics shared, stories shared, obviously, but it's going to continue evolving. So if anyone feels like they have ideas on how to improve our platform, we're always open. We're still new, we're still growing, and just follow us, and we're in this together. We're, as a community, we're in this together. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It was a pleasure to talk about all of this with you.
It's really fun and honor is mine. Thank you, Nas.
Yeah, thank you, Payne.
Thanks for listening to Chai with Ping. Let us hear your voices and stories. Please share this episode, like and follow us on Instagram at Chai with Ping. You can also email us at chaiwithping@gmail.com. Till next time.